Hi, my name is Yasmin. I am one of the co-directors and co-founders of Sentience, and I'm here to talk to you about my experience with mental health and mental illness. So my only experience, I guess, with mental illness is OCD. I was prone to obsessive compulsive natured things before I was diagnosed, like making sure that I wiped that surface because something terrible might happen if I didn't, and stuff like that. It got a lot worse when I went on holiday to Turkey, and I had some medical ailments that I was worried about, which kind of heightened my anxiety. I've always dealt with anxiety before, but it took it to a whole new level. And when I got home, I became addicted to using hand gel every few seconds before I was diagnosed with OCD. It basically took hold of my life, and I couldn't live properly. I wouldn't eat anything from the kitchen or drink anything from the kitchen because I was worried it was contaminated. I wouldn't sleep in one part of my bed because I was worried about the contamination of germs and things like that. I washed my hands regularly, but I had to wash the taps when I washed my hands, stuff like that. So it came to a head when I was having a really, really bad day, and the mental health team were over and I got sectioned. Sectioning was the worst experience of my life. They got a policeman to come and march me down to the ambulance, and it was terrifying, especially when you don't have control of your reality. When I got to hospital, obviously they had to do this because it's their profession and they know what they're doing, but I felt threatened at the time, and they said that if I didn't take any meds, which I've been refusing to do prior to my sectioning, then they would inject me with the medication. And slowly but surely after that, I got moved into my own room with my own ensuite, where I stayed for about 3 weeks. I wouldn't come out for fear of contamination and germs and of things happening to the other patients. But one of my best memories of the hospital was meeting my friend Tori. I had just about managed to get myself to the door of the lounge, and I looked a nervous wreck, and Tori just looked up from her book and she said, "Are you okay? Do you need someone to talk to?" And I was just so relieved that no one was judging me, because everyone in the psychiatric hospital had their own issues, and a lot of them are anxiety based. And people don't see that. Like nowadays, people don't see anxiety as a big deal because, oh, everyone's got anxieties, but it's an illness that can kill people. Anxieties are things that control your thoughts and things that they don't have any care for what they're doing to the human. They're just kind of like a little monster. And that was brilliantly illustrated by an artist that I found on Facebook. They drew monsters to represent different mental illnesses and disorders. And I've always identified my OCD as a little monster in my head, or rather 3, because OCD came with depression for me. So I have obsession, I have compulsion, I have depression. And these are all little monsters in my head. And that's how we hope to portray OCD and just general mental illness in our webisodes. We hope that by caging a creature and showing its specific traits, we will be able to animate what is only a thought in other people's minds, if that makes sense. So there is a lot of denial that goes with it, but once you've accepted that you need the help and you are determined to get better, that's when it looks up and you get praise, and you are just in awe of how much you've achieved in just a day, even if it's little things like it was for me, like using the same towel twice, or not washing your hands 3 times or 4 times or 5 times after you've done something, or I don't know, just little examples that they're big achievements for people with mental illness, and especially when it's got to that stage. But obviously mine isn't the only case, and a lot of people live with this at a much lower level. Not to say that that means that it's of any less importance, that's not what I'm saying at all. Basically, everyone has their own level, and it can be as terrifying as someone who is incapacitated by it, like I was. Since I left hospital, I was released from hospital and from my section in January 2015. And as soon as I got out of hospital, I did the one thing that I hadn't done all my life because I was too scared. I got earrings, ear piercings, and a nose ring. Don't get a nose ring. It hurts. But I did that, and I had a meal with my friends to celebrate me coming out of hospital, and it was so lovely, and that day brought my family together so much. And then straight after, I decided that I was gonna go travelling, so I went travelling for a month, and after travelling I stayed at home for a bit, and I enrolled back in college, which is where I am now. And I met my boyfriend, I met my best friends, and everything's just snowballed from there. And I hope that people suffering with even the early symptoms of what I'm going through, or what Esme is going through in our webisodes, or anything like that, I hope they know that there is help out there. You might have to push and push and push, but there are people out there that will help you.
This is Without the Light.